hours after the lifeless bodies of 27 migrants had slipped beneath the icy waters off the coast of France. Tin-Pot tyrant Emmanuel Macron trumped his own record for hypocrisy, saying, "I will not let the Channel become a cemetery." Too late, because he already has. The deaths of those men, women and children are grim testaments to that, and Macron has their blood on his hands, because while he didn't physically push them into those boats, he and his sloppy immigration policies did. And no matter how much he tries to shift the blame for this totally avoidable tragedy, no one's buying it. This is 100% his fault. His blistering hatred of this country seems to have unhinged him. In the past 22 months he has done everything in his power to punish Britain for daring to leave the EU. He has refused point blank to cooperate on everything from exports to vaccinations, and his public trashing of our AstraZeneca jabs created a vaccine hesitancy in France that has cost lives. But worse has been the vile people trafficking. And while those smugglers are scum, they can only do what they do because France lets them. Just hours after the first bodies of those migrants were pulled from the water, this vengeful, 2. Bob Napoleon had the cheek to tell Boris not to exploit the tragedy. This from the man who has been so determined to make Brexit look like a failure. He politicized this crisis and these desperate refugees to do it. This week 30 migrants were filmed climbing into a dinghy that looked like a kiddie's paddling pool in full view of French police who just looked on chatting. They did nothing because they're told to do nothing. And this is all because of the petty, political games of a man still angry because he didn't get his own way over Brexit. Macron hates Britain more than he cares about those migrants, and he puts settling political scores above their lives. Even now he doesn't give a stuff about finding a solution to this crisis. He takes British money to tackle the crisis, but says the deaths are our fault, that we're not doing enough, yet every time we suggest a solution his answer is none. Hours after the tragedy, Boris suggested sending British law enforcement officers to help on France's beaches. He suggested we take migrants straight back to France the minute they arrive so as to deter future attempts. And he said we should use radar to detect migrants before they leave French shores. But Macron threw a tantrum, screamed the plan was an insult, and now he's banned Home Secretary Priti Patel from the migrant summit in Paris. So what the hell does he want from us? Not to end the crisis, that's for sure, because it's playing well with voters in the run-up to French elections, who think one less migrant on French soil is a result. That's why Macron's speech about how terrible this all is and how France had done everything it could with patrols on the beaches day and night is a lie. We've seen the photographs. We've seen scores of migrants piling into flimsy boats while French police stand by. Even after their deaths, France claimed to have caught 5 of the people traffickers, and then had to admit there was no provable link. Currently, the EU is furious because the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, is pushing illegal migrants into Europe. Brussels is threatening sanctions and wants to build a wall to keep them out. But what's the difference between what Lukashenko is doing and what Macron is doing? The EU does nothing about Macron and ignores the illegal and very often violent pushbacks of migrants all over Europe. So these needless deaths won't stop. The trafficking gangs will continue their grisly trade, safe in the knowledge they've been given the nod by a president who cares as little about migrants' lives as they do. And Britain, because we're not like France, will continue to take them all in and give them money, food and shelter. And so more will come, knowing the risks of those perilous seas are worth the life in Britain that awaits them.